Alright, y'all. It's AEW Dynamite review for February 9th, 2022. Alright, so it starts off with Wardlow. He brings out two cutouts of MJF. One of them is MJF putting a sleeper hold on Punk from last week's match. And then the other one was him sitting on Punk's chest after the match was over. So they introduced each member of the Pinnacle. They come up one by one. And then MJF, before MJF comes out, it's pretty much one of the longest intros ever. And MJF comes out comes to the ring on a throne, sitting on a throne. And he gets in the ring and he says, "Right now you're looking the best in the world." He says, "I'm better than the best in the world. I just beat somebody I grew up watching." And then he says, "I'm better than Brett in Canada, better than Piper in Portland, and better than CM Punk in Chicago." Punk comes out and he says, "Today I got some friends. You guys always like to beat people up." He says, "I'm going to get what I want, or I'm going to come down there and beat it out of you. I want a rematch." And then MJF says, "If you can beat FTR in a tag team match with any partner of your choosing, it has to be somebody other than Darby Allin or Sting." And he says, "Good luck finding a partner." And then there's another segment, Andrade, Sting, and Darby Allin in the back. Andrade says, "Finally, I find your boss. Everybody knows this kid works for you." Sting says, "If you got a dispute with Darby Allin, then you can speak with him mano a mano." Darby says, "I got bigger things to do than work for you, like become the next TNT champion." Andrade says to Darby, he says, "You want the TNT championship. I am the next TNT champion." So might do a triple threat at Revolution with these two and Sammy Guevara, or they could face Andrade and Darby face each other, and then the winner gets to face Sammy at Revolution. We'll see what happens. Alright, so we got first match, Blade versus Wardlow. Blade chop blocks Wardlow to start the match. Wardlow hits a clothesline, and then he hits 3 belly-to-back suplexes. Back from commercial, Blade hits 2 knee strikes to Wardlow's face. He goes for a third one, and then Wardlow catches him for a powerbomb, and then he powerbombs him 3 more times for the win. At the end of the match, Shawn Spears hit him with a chair. That was pretty much it for that. And we got another segment, the Inner Circle. Jericho says, "When you didn't tag me, it was embarrassing and demeaning." He says, "You robbed our fans and who paid a ticket to see Chris Jericho wrestle." And he says, "Why did you do it?" And then Santana says, "Chris, enough for this phony shit. Chris Jericho only cares about one person, and that's Chris Jericho." He says, "Anything that we have had to shift our focus towards has been for the advancement of one person." And then he says, "Am I wrong? Anytime that we've had a little bit of a spotlight, or seems like we're going to be making our way to the top prize and win the AEW tag team titles, what happens, Chris? It gets shut down, thrown to the side, so you could come to our rescue." And then he says, "Am I wrong, Chris? Am I wrong, Chris?" And then Jericho. So this is good. Jericho's about to respond, and then he says, "I ain't done yet." And then Santana says, "It's funny that we're out here, Chris, because we came out here man to man, face to face. That the days of us playing second fiddle are over. And done with those with." Playing second fiddle are over and done with. Don't raise that mic because I ain't finished yet. So Chris tried to talk again. "Chris, at the end of the day, it was always you that stood in our way. It was always you that we didn't have a bigger spotlight than you did." And then he points at Ortiz and says, "You better thank him with everything you've got, because if it wasn't for him, I would have dropped your ass a long time ago." So Santana really good on the mic here. And then he tells Jericho, "Now you may speak." So Chris says, "You're going back to this issue with the tag team titles that Eddie Kingston planted in your head." And then he says, "What else has Eddie Kingston ever done for you in AEW?" He says, "I'm the influencer in this company, and since I brought you here, you had a chance to be the AEW World Tag Team Champions about a year ago, but you guys lost to the Young Bucks." And then he says, "I brought you into the inner circle, and I could kick you out as well." And then Jericho says, "When I think about how I put this faction together with attitudes like this, I have to ask myself, maybe I invited the wrong two members of LAX to join." And then he says, "Hey, Jake, you got Homicide and Hernandez's number?" Just as he says that, Santana grabs Jericho's neck, and then Jericho grabs Santana's neck. Sammy's trying to be the voice of reason here, trying to calm everybody down. Jericho tells Sammy to shut up. And then Sammy pretty much, he just takes his cut off, his vest, and says, "I've quit this group before. Unless you guys can figure this shit out, I'll quit again." He says, "Figure it out," and then he just goes to the back. He says, "Fuck this," pretty much. So next week it's going to be Santana and Ortiz versus Jericho and Hager. And then Professor Jericho tells him attendance is mandatory. This was probably the best segment of the night. Alright, so we got Isaiah Cassidy versus, making his debut, Keith Lee, Limitless. Okay, so he starts off the match, so he tosses Isaiah all the way across the ring like he threw him into another dimension or another planet or whatever. And then he did the same thing in the next move with a shoulder block to Isaiah, and he goes outside the ring after the shoulder block. Matt Hardy pretty much says, "Screw this," and he just leaves through the crowd. Cassidy hits a corkscrew drive over the top rope. Keith Lee had Cassidy on his back like a firearms carry, like Cena used to do, and then he just slammed him. And that was pretty much it. So Keith Lee, so he won this match, so he's in the ladder match at Revolution. I don't think I've seen him in a ladder match before, so we'll see if he gets a teleshot, but he can feud with a lot of people here, so hopefully he doesn't get shows up and then he just disappears for weeks like Lance Archer does. Should be a good pickup for AEW. Alright, next match we got CM Punk and John Moxley, so that's his partner that he chose for this match against FTR. It was a very slow start to the match, a lot of holds and submission locks. So it starts off with Moxley hit a back body drop, hit 2 German suplexes, and a double DDT on FTR. So back from commercial, FTR put Moxley through a table with a double suplex during the break. Dax hit a leg drop on Mox while Cash was lifting for him for a near fall. Moxley hit a clothesline on Cash Wheeler. Moxley tags in Punk. Punk hits a running knee on Dax. And then Moxley puts Dax on his shoulders, and Punk clotheslines him off the top rope. So little paying homage to LOD. That was for a near fall. Dax hit a brainbuster for a near fall, and then FTR hits the big rig on Punk. Moxley breaks up the pin. Punk puts the Anaconda Vice on Cash Wheeler. And then Tully gets in the ring. He takes his jacket off and just starts hitting Punk with it while the ref's distracted. And then Punk hits the GTS on Cash Wheeler, and then Moxley they pretty much hit their move at the same time, their finishing moves. Moxley hitting the paradigm shift. And then that was it for that match. It was a solid match. Started off real slow and then it picked up halfway through. Next match we got it's a new girl I've never seen before, never heard of her, AQA. She faced Jade Cargill. AQA hits a shooting star press. She goes to her second one. Jade gets up and then she pretty much just wins with her finisher. This match, real boring match. Just I think Jade just needs work. Even though she's undefeated, she's gonna be a star. She should work on her ring skills more. So hope she can work on that. Her matches will be way better. All right, main event time. We got Adam Page versus Lance Archer. Archer's music hits, and then he's not coming out, so they show a camera in the back, and these guys are already brawling in the back. And then they come out. They go to the other entrance tunnel, and then Page just throws Archer through the glass in the entrance tunnel. It was a pretty cool spot. And then you can see Archer's bleeding on his face. Page hits the buckshot lariat right away to pretty much like 2 minutes to start the match. He rolls out the ring. Archer does, and then Page dives outside and Archer hits him with a trash can lid. And then Dan Lambert comes in there. He unscrews the metal rod for the top rope. So there's pretty much no top rope for the rest of the match, so Page can't do the buckshot lariat. Back from commercial, Jake goes for the DDT. Archer pulls Jake off of him. And says pretty much, what the hell are you doing? This is my match. And then Hangman Page hits a DDT on Archer outside. Page is hitting Archer with like 1,000 kendo stick shots. Archer Page sets up a garbage can on the ground. Archer breaks the kendo stick, and then he choke slams Page onto the trash can. Archer starts stabbing. I don't know how he got this. It must have been in his pocket or something. He starts stabbing Page with a fork. And then this was just disgusting. He just licks the fork with all the blood on it, and Page was busted open. And then he brings in a chair with the barbed wire wrapped around it, and he starts licking the barbed wire. Man, Lance Archer's just a sick fuck, yo. Just licking shit everywhere. And then Archer sets up He's set up the steel steps on its side outside the ring. Archer hits the blackout onto the steps. It's pretty much the reverse Razor Ramon, where he picks up in the air and just slams him. That was a pretty cool spot. And then Page wraps the barbed wire around his arm and punches Lance Archer. And then Page drops the barbed wire. The ref goes to pick it up. And then Hangman Page pretty much uses the ref's back as the top rope to do a buckshot lariat. And there's 2 tables set up outside. They go through one of the tables and they overshoot the other one. So, and then the ref's counting out, and then Page gets into the ring about 8-9 count, and then Archer didn't get back in. So that was already pretty much it for the main event. It was a great main event. A lot of bloody war. And then at the end, Adam Cole comes out. He grabs the world title and he puts it on Page's shoulders. And he's pretty much indicating he wants a belt. So I guess they'll do Adam Cole versus Hangman Page at Revolution. Inner Circle segment was good. Keith Lee debut. It's going to be at the ladder match at Revolution. And then, yeah, great main event with Page versus Archer. All right, see you guys.